For the pessimistic of us, time in our lives can be really limited. We may be here one day, and we may be gone the next. But what scares you more, being gone or leaving nothing behind? Or does the possibility of loved ones left without closure bring you some kind of anxiety? Imagine one day your significant other, your child, your parent, your sibling, or just a good friend goes missing with no explanation as to where, how, or why they disappeared. And that's where today's story comes in. If you'd like to, grab a beer, gather around the campfire, and I'll tell you the story of the disappearance of Jacob Gray. Jacob Gray is a 22-year-old Santa Cruz, California native. He's an avid cyclist and outdoorsman. He's known to enjoy camping, backpacking, and cycling alone, and by his family's beliefs was very confident in the tasks that would be required of him. When he departed Port Townsend on his bike on April 5, 2017, he took with him a trailer full of gear that would ensure a successful trip for him to the Daniel J. Evans Wilderness in Olympic National Park, Washington State. He told his family that he would be traveling there and then would proceed to travel east, camping and backpacking along the way. The day after Jacob departs, an untouched bicycle and trailer are found about 6.5 miles up Soul Duck Hot Springs Road in the Olympic National Park by park rangers. Ranger John Bowie performs an inspection of the bike and area around it, and oddly enough finds a bow on the ground with multiple arrows sticking into the ground and out of the back of the trailer. Nothing I've been able to find can tell me whether the arrows were simply laying there or if they had fired from the bow into their new resting place. Now, oddly enough, everything in the trailer and on the bike appeared to be in perfect working order. On April 8th, the Clallam County Sheriff's Office began searching for Jacob with around 30 searchers and multiple dogs, but they find nothing in the area. Volunteer trackers from Olympic Mountain Rescue were finally called in nearly a week after the discovery of Jacob's bike, and they begin their search on April 12th. These more experienced search and rescue personnel find marks along the river that show evidence of someone swapping from hiking boots to running shoes for the trip down to the river. The tracks then show the person walking down by the river, slipping into the water, and scrambling back out approximately 30 yards from the original entry site. Now, this would lead us to believe that Jacob should be nearby, drying his clothes, and wouldn't even be expecting rescue. But foot searchers the same day and dog teams the next day laid down the fact that Jacob was not on the side of this river. The searchers once again turned towards the river. Cadaver dogs are assigned to every log jam up and down the river for 12 miles. This is 24 miles of river that are being searched with cadaver dogs, and they're searching specifically in the log jams up the river. They find no evidence of Jacob being inside of the river. Once April 16th hits, the search is scaled back with intentions of looking more closely in the park for Jacob during the summer months when it would be more productive. In July of 2017, more than 100 search and rescue volunteers search along the Soul Duck River and find absolutely nothing to indicate that Jacob has ever been in the area. He just seemed to have disappeared completely from the park. Over a year later, a team of wildlife biologists make a trip into the mountains for marmot research, and on top of a ridge near Hoe Lake, at least 15 miles away from where Jacob left his bike, they find his remains and all of the equipment that he had taken from the trailer. He wasn't found near a trail, and the lake he was found near is 10 miles from the trailhead that he was originally set to go down. A medical examiner would say that it's likely that Jacob passed from hypothermia, as there was no trauma found on his remains. So to wrap up the entire timeline, Jacob stops to fill his water container and slips into the river, regaining his footing and returning to land about 30 yards down it. He then abandons his trailer to climb an unintended trail to a lake 15 miles away and 5,300 feet above sea level, and somehow passes away on top of a treeless ridge in the snow with plenty of food, insulated clothing, and all the means of survival in front of him. How does a 22-year-old in great shape with plenty of competence and confidence in cross-country cycling abandon all of his gear with a clear conscience? It would make sense if he was possibly headed out for a day hike and got lost, but why would he head uphill? Everyone in the outdoor scene knows that if you get lost, you either head downhill or stay put. Now, obviously, we can't get a toxicology report due to the length of time the body spent in the wilderness, so we don't know if Jacob possibly committed suicide by ingesting something, but I'm assuming his family completely denies these claims. His father would spend the entire time between Jacob's disappearance and his remains being found scouring Soul Duck Valley and even parts of Canada trying to locate Jacob. He spent hundreds of hours and days up and down those mountains and in that valley and never found a trace of his son, but he kept looking with hope. At the end of this case, we're left with a lot of questions and no answers. Why did Jacob change shoes if he was planning on going on a long hike? Why would he go west instead of east like he told his family? Why would he abandon all of his equipment to go up an unintended trail that no one knew he was going to travel? Unfortunately, we will probably never know exactly what happened to Jacob Gray, and that drives the curiosity of all you people who come looking to whet your web sleuth appetite. The more we wonder, the less we know, and the more intrigued we all become.